The planet was quiet. Too quiet. The wind moved across the frozen valley, carrying snow like dust. Beneath the endless ice, something waited. Something older than human history. The human team had come with scanners, machines, and bright lights. They thought they were here to study broken ruins. They thought they were here to collect data, take samples, and return home. But what they found was not dead. What they found was sleeping. Deep under the ice, their scanners showed the impossible: a body. A shape so huge that no human mind could first accept it. It was not a mountain. It was not a structure. It was a living being, giant, armored, and silent. A colossus. The humans gave it a name in whispers. The Titan. But not everyone dared to speak near it. Some felt fear, others respect, but all felt something. Even standing above the ice, people felt heavy inside their chest, as if unseen eyes were watching. The leaders warned everyone, do not touch. Do not go near. This thing is not ours to wake. Yet one human, just one, could not stay away. His name was Elias. Unlike the others, he did not feel fear. He felt a strange pull, like a voice in his blood. When Elias looked at the frozen giant, he saw more than armor and size. He saw sadness. The first night, when the others slept, Elias walked alone to the dig site. The camp lights were dim behind him. His boots cracked on the ice. The silence pressed on him like the weight of the universe. The ice around the Colossus glowed faintly blue from the lamps they had drilled down. He could see the shape of its arm, thicker than a human house. Its fingers were as long as streets, but it was the face that caught him. Half buried, the head tilted, eyes closed as if in eternal sleep. Elias felt his breath quicken. He whispered, though no one could hear, "Who are you?" The ice cracked. Elias froze. The sound was sharp, like glass breaking. But the giant did not move. Only the frost around its chest shifted, as if something inside had drawn a breath. Elias stepped back, heart racing. He should have run. He should have called the others. But he did not. Something inside told him, stay. And so, he stayed. For days, the humans argued. Scientists said the Colossus was a weapon from some forgotten war. Soldiers said it was a danger that must be destroyed. Leaders said it must remain locked in the ice. But at night, Elias kept coming back, and each night he heard more, not words, never words, but feelings, sadness, hunger, loneliness. Sometimes the ice trembled as if the Colossus dreamed. One evening, when the sky was dark with storms, Elias came closer than ever. He placed his hand against the frozen surface, directly on the Colossus's chest. The ice was cold, but beneath it he swore he felt a faint beat. Slow, powerful, a heartbeat. Suddenly, light. The giant's eyes flickered. Elias fell back onto the snow, gasping. The glow was weak, like dying, embers in a fire, but it was real. Two vast eyes the size of doors opened for a second and looked at him, not at the camp, not at the others, at him. In that single moment, Elias felt everything. He saw stars burning, planets breaking, armies falling before this creature. He saw wars older than Earth, weapons that could shatter moons, and endless screams in alien tongues. But he also felt sorrow, endless sorrow. The giant was not only a destroyer, it was a prisoner. Then the eyes closed again. Darkness returned. Elias lay in the snow, shaking, unable to breathe. His chest burned. His mind screamed at him to run, but his heart whispered something else. It chose you. The next morning, the camp was in chaos. Scientists shouted, showing strange readings. Soldiers aimed weapons at the ice. The leaders barked orders. Seal it deeper. No one approaches again. Elias said nothing. He could not. Who would believe him? But when he looked at the frozen giant, he knew the truth. It was alive, and it had seen him. That night, as the storm screamed above the valley, Elias lay awake in his bunk. He could not close his eyes. Every time he tried, he felt the Colossus breathing inside his head. It was not words, not commands, just presence. And Elias understood something terrible. The giant was waiting for him. On the seventh night, when the storm broke and the moon shone bright, Elias made his choice. He walked alone to the site once more. His hands shook, but his steps were steady. The Colossus's head was tilted, frozen eyes shut again. Snow covered most of its body, but Elias knew it was not asleep. He placed his hand once more on the ice, and this time, the ice cracked apart. The ground shook. The valley thundered like a giant drum. The snow exploded into the air as cracks raced across the glacier. The Colossus's chest lifted. Its eyes opened wide, blazing with ancient fire. Elias fell to his knees, blinded by the light. The giant moved. The ice did not break gently. It roared like thunder, splitting the valley in two. Sheets of frozen stone rose like walls, shattering under a force too strong to be buried. The humans in the camp woke in panic, running from their shelters, eyes wide with terror. The Colossus was moving. Its chest, buried for ages, rose and fell, with a slow, heavy breath. Each inhale shook the ground. Each exhale was a storm. The sound was not just heard, it was felt inside every rib, every bone. Some soldiers screamed, raising their weapons. Others stood frozen, too afraid to move. Scientists dropped their equipment, staring in disbelief, and in the middle of it all, Elias stood, snow swirling around him. He did not run. He did not shout. He only stared at the giant, his heart pounding, but not with fear. He had touched the Colossus. He had seen its eyes. And now, it was awake. The Colossus's head turned slowly, ice breaking off in chunks. Its glowing eyes lit the valley, brighter than any camp light. They did not look at the crowd of humans. They searched. They hunted, until they found Elias. The moment their gaze met, Elias fell to his knees. The giant's voice entered his mind, not through sound, but through thought. Deep, ancient, and filled with pain. "You hear me?" At last, Elias gasped. The voice echoed inside him, heavy and soft at the same time. It was like trying to listen to the ocean while drowning in it. He tried to speak aloud, but his throat locked. His words came only in thought. "What are you?" The giant's eyes dimmed as if in sorrow. Once, a guardian. Now, a prisoner. The soldiers fired. Bright streaks of energy tore into the Colossus's chest and arms. Explosions lit the snow. The valley echoed with the sound of human weapons. But the giant did not fall. It lifted one hand, so vast it blocked the sky, and lowered it slowly in front of Elias. The ground trembled as its fingers sank into the snow, walls of ice rising around him. The soldiers shouted, "Move away from it, get clear!" But Elias did not move. The massive hand was not crushing him. It was protecting him. The human leaders ordered retreat. They feared the awakening had doomed them all. "This thing is too dangerous. We must destroy it before it rises fully." But Elias felt the truth. The giant was not striking them. It was shielding him. The Colossus spoke again inside his mind. "They do not understand. They fear what they cannot hold. But you feel me." Elias swallowed hard. He wanted to deny it, but he couldn't. Something deep inside him pulsed in rhythm with the giant's heartbeat. He was connected. And yet, fear still burned in his chest. "What do you want with me?" Elias whispered. His breath visible in the freezing air, the answer was slow, heavy, certain. To live, to remember, to fight again. The valley shook once more. Not from the Colossus, but from the sky. Dark shapes cut through the clouds. Ships, alien ships. They descended fast, engines, screaming, fire spilling into the night. The soldiers panicked. Unknown contacts! Unknown contacts! Dozens of black, insect-like vessels surrounded the valley. They hovered above the ice, lights flashing, weapons charging. Their voices boomed from the air, translated into harsh, human speech. Step away from the relic. It must remain sealed. You do not know the danger you face. The humans froze, caught between fear of the Colossus and fear of these newcomers. Elias's chest tightened. The aliens were not speaking to the soldiers. They were speaking to him. The Colossus's voice echoed again, darker now. My enemies, they come. Elias looked up at the alien ships, then back at the glowing eyes of the giant. Enemies? They're here to stop you. The Colossus did not answer, but Elias felt the truth pulsing through the bond. These aliens had fought the giant long ago. They feared its return. The ships circled lower. One fired a warning shot into the snow, blasting a crater near the humans. Leave this world, the alien voice demanded, or die with the monster. Soldiers scrambled to retreat, pulling back equipment. The leaders shouted commands. The scientists begged to stay, torn between survival and discovery. But Elias stood still. The giant's massive hand remained before him, unmoving, as if waiting for his choice. Then something changed. The Colossus's eyes flared brighter, and Elias felt himself pulled forward, not in body, but in mind. The world blurred. The cold, the soldiers, the ships, all faded, and suddenly, Elias was somewhere else. He saw stars burning. He saw worlds torn apart. He saw the Colossus leading armies of giants against endless fleets of the same insect-like ships now in the sky. He felt the roar of battle, the weight of victory, the sting of betrayal. Then, silence. Darkness. The prison of ice. The vision broke and Elias collapsed into the snow, gasping for air. The Colossus's voice thundered inside him once more. They will kill me, and they will kill you. Unless you stand with me. Above, the alien fleet charged their weapons. Bright fire lit the clouds. The soldiers screamed for cover. Elias raised his head, sweat freezing on his skin, his heart torn apart by fear and awe. He looked at the towering giant, then at the ships, preparing to strike. The giant's eyes burned like suns. The sky turned red. A burning beam of energy cut through the clouds, falling toward the valley like the finger of a god. It struck the ice with a deafening blast, sending fire and smoke into the air. The ground cracked, throwing soldiers to their knees. Screams filled the camp. Humans scattered, weapons raised but useless against the massive ships above. And through the chaos, the Colossus stood tall, breaking free from the last of its icy prison. Its armor glowed, ancient scars etched into its body like rivers of fire. The giant's eyes flared, locking on the enemy fleet. Elias could not breathe. He stood inside the shadow of the Colossus, snow and ash swirling around him. His mind still burned with the giant's voice, deep and relentless. They have come to finish what they began. The alien ships hovered closer, their black hulls, sharp as blades, insect-like legs folding beneath them. Their speakers boomed again. Step away from the relic. You are blind, humans. That creature is your end. But the Colossus did not move. Instead, it lifted its great arm and lowered its hand, shielding Elias once more. The soldiers shouted at Elias from behind the barricades. Get away from it. It's using you. You'll be killed with it. Elias didn't move. His chest burned. His heart beat in rhythm with the giants, and his legs felt heavy as stone. Somehow he knew. If he left, if he broke the connection, something far worse would happen. The aliens fired again. Dozens of beams rained down, exploding against the Colossus's chest and shoulders. The sound was like mountains breaking, sparks, and shards of glowing armor flew into the snow. But the giant did not fall. Instead, it stepped forward. Each foot crushed the ice, shaking the valley like an earthquake. Its hand swept through the air, smashing one alien ship with a single strike. The vessel broke apart, fire raining down into the darkness. The humans gasped. Some fell silent. Some shouted with fear. Elias felt it too. Fear, yes, but also awe. For the first time he understood the truth. The Colossus was not a relic. It was a weapon, a living weapon. The giant's voice thundered inside Elias's head. Your kind cannot fight them, but you are my bond. Through you, I rise. Elias staggered, clutching his skull. The bond grew stronger, tighter, pulling at his thoughts. Images rushed into his mind. Battlefields, explosions, endless stars. He saw the Colossus fighting, across worlds, tearing ships apart, always surrounded by those insect-like aliens. He also saw betrayal. Other Colossi, giants like this one, turning against their own, sealing their brother in ice. And through all of it, one thought echoed. Loneliness. The giant had slept for centuries, waiting for someone who could hear it, waiting for Elias. The alien fleet regrouped. They circled the valley, weapons glowing brighter. One ship, larger than the rest, descended lower, its voice booming like thunder. Human, listen well. That monster is not your savior. It is the destroyer of worlds. It will consume you and through you consume your people. Step away, or be erased with it. Elias trembled. Their words cut deep. What if they were right? What if the Colossus was not protecting him but claiming him? The soldiers echoed the warning. Elias, get back here, don't trust it. But when Elias looked up, he saw the Colossus's glowing eyes staring only at him. He felt its sorrow, its pain, its need. And in that moment, his fear shifted. Not gone, but changed. What if the Colossus was not only a destroyer? What if it had once been a guardian, twisted by endless war? And what if he, the smallest of humans, was its chance to become something more? The enemy fired their largest weapon. A beam of energy, brighter than the sun, tore through the night and struck the Colossus in the chest. The blast was so powerful it blinded everyone. The ground shattered. A wave of fire roared through the valley. When the smoke cleared, the Colossus was still standing, but barely. Its armor cracked, glowing fissures spreading across its body. Its hand dropped low, trembling. Its breath thundered slower now. Elias felt it inside his own chest. The weakness, the exhaustion. Their bond was not only thought, but body. Each wound the Colossus took, Elias felt like a burning scar inside him. He staggered, coughing blood into the snow. The soldiers saw it. He's connected. It's killing him. But Elias raised his head, his voice hoarse, his eyes blazing with something more than fear. No, he whispered. It's sharing the pain with me, so it can still fight. The Colossus's mind surged into him once more, this time stronger, sharper, impossible to resist. Through you, I can move. Through you, I can strike. Suddenly, Elias felt his body vanish. His vision shifted. His eyes were no longer his own. They were the giant's. His hands were vast and glowing. His heartbeat was a drum the size of mountains. For a moment, Elias was inside the Colossus. He was the Colossus, and the enemy ships were no longer shadows. In the sky, they were targets. The Colossus raised its arm, guided by Elias's will. It reached for the largest ship and hurled a chunk of broken ice with impossible force. The ice smashed through the vessel, splitting it in half. Fire rained across the night. The humans stared in silence. The enemy fleet recoiled, and Elias stood in both worlds, human and giant, fragile and immortal, feeling the bond burn brighter with each passing second. But with that power came a terrible truth. Each strike, each movement, drained him. The bond was not free. The more he gave, the closer he came to losing himself. The alien commander's voice roared across the valley, sharp and desperate now. Foolish human, do you not see? It is already eating your life. You are its fuel. Break the bond or both your species will perish. Elias trembled, his vision blurred, his body burned as if on fire. He could feel the giant's hunger, its need, its endless will to fight. The Colossus's voice pressed deeper into his mind, louder, fiercer, unstoppable. Do not listen. Stand. Fight. With me, You are more than human. The world was gone. Elias no longer felt the cold snow. He no longer heard the screams of soldiers or the thunder of alien guns. Instead, he stood inside a storm of light. A heartbeat like a drum shook the air around him. Every beat was not his own. It was the Colossus. He looked down. His hands were no longer small and human. They were vast, glowing with ancient energy. Each finger was thicker than a tower. His vision stretched for miles, eyes burning like suns. Elias gasped, though he had no mouth here. His voice echoed through thought. What is this? The Colossus's answer was heavy, unyielding. The bond. Through me, you see. Through you I live. Outside, in the valley, the humans stared in terror. They saw the giant shift moving with new speed, its glowing eyes burning brighter. They did not see Elias anymore. To them it looked as if the Colossus had claimed him. The alien ships closed in, weapons aimed, engines screaming. One fired. A searing beam of energy shot toward the valley. But this time the Colossus did not just endure. Guided by Elias, it raised its arm and caught the blast with its glowing palm. The energy hissed and sparked, but the giant stood unbroken. Elias felt the heat inside him as if his chest would burst. But he pushed forward and the Colossus pushed with him. The giant hurled the energy back. The blast struck the enemy ship, tearing it apart. The sky lit with fire. The humans gasped. Inside the bond, Elias staggered. He could feel the power rushing through him, power that was not meant for flesh. His veins burned, his bones screamed. But he did not stop. I can't hold this, he thought. It's too much. The Colossus's voice pressed deeper, colder now. Then let go. Let me take full control, but know this. If I rise alone, your kind will not survive. Elias froze. He understood. The giant was offering power, but also a warning. Without him, the Colossus would fight like before, wild, unstoppable, merciless. The aliens shouted again from their ships, voices booming across the sky. Human, break the bond. It is killing you. It will use you until you are nothing. The soldiers echoed the words from below. Elias, stop. You'll die with it. But Elias remembered the visions, the loneliness, the betrayal. He remembered the sorrow in the Colossus's eyes the first time they opened. And in that moment, he understood something simple, but terrible. This giant was not just a weapon. It was a prisoner of its own past. No, Elias whispered in thought. You won't fight alone. Not again. The bond deepened. Elias felt the weight of the Colossus's memories flood through him. He saw 1,000 battles, 1,000 dead worlds. He saw friends who had once fought beside the giant only to turn against him. He felt betrayal sharper than any blade. And through it all, he felt the giant's endless question. Why am I still alive? Elias answered not with words, but with will. He raised the Colossus's arm, his arm toward the enemy fleet. Together they moved as one. The giant leapt. The ground shattered under its step. Snow and ice burst into the air as the Colossus launched forward, faster than any human eye expected. Its massive fist crashed through one of the smaller alien ships, tearing it apart in a shower of fire. Elias roared, not aloud but inside the bond. The sound echoed through the giant's chest, shaking the valley like thunder. The alien fleet broke formation, ships scattering. They had faced the Colossus before, long ago. They had trapped it once, but now it was awake again and worse. It had bonded with something new, something unpredictable. A human. But the bond was not perfect. Each strike drained Elias more. His breath grew shallow. His vision blurred. Blood dripped from his nose in the real world. Though inside the bond he did not feel it. The price of power was heavy. The Colossus spoke again, its voice softer now, almost protective. Your body is weak. You cannot carry me for long. I don't care, Elias thought, forcing the words through the pain. If this is the only way to fight, then I'll fight. Down in the camp, the soldiers watched in awe and fear. Some whispered, He's controlling it. Others said, no, it's controlling him. The leaders argued, if the bond continues, he will die. And if he dies, what rises in his place? Something worse? But none dared intervene. The valley was now a battlefield too large for humans to touch. Above, the alien commander's voice thundered again, furious now. Human, you do not understand. That creature will drain you until you are dust. End this bond before it ends you. Elias shook inside the giant, his body trembling, but his voice in thought was steady. Then better to fight with it than live without it. The Colossus's eyes blazed like twin suns. Together they raised their arms and unleashed a storm of energy, tearing through the sky. Ships exploded one after another, fire raining over the valley. But as the last of the fleet pulled back, retreating into the clouds, Elias felt himself collapse inside. His body screamed for air, for rest, for life itself. The Colossus caught him gently and thought, you give too much. If you continue, you will not return. Elias's eyes burned, his vision fading, but he whispered the words anyway. Then, take everything. Cliffhanger ending, to lead into part 5. The last enemy ship vanished into the sky. Silence fell across the ruined valley. The humans looked on in fear as the Colossus stood tall, glowing brighter than ever. And inside, Elias hung between life and death, no longer just a man, not yet a giant. The bond was changing him, and nothing would ever be the same. The valley was burning. The ground was torn apart, cracked open by fire and falling debris. The air was thick with smoke. What once had been a silent world of ice was now a battlefield, of fire and ruin. The Colossus stood at the center of it all, its armor glowing with cracks of ancient energy, steam rising from its wounds. And inside, Elias felt every scar, every burn, every cut. He gasped, his real body trembling on the snow far below, even as his mind remained inside the giant. Each movement of the Colossus was his own, each strike his responsibility. His blood dripped into the ice, but he did not let go. Above, the alien fleet returned. This time they did not test or threaten. They came to destroy. Dozens of black ships cut through the clouds, weapons blazing. The sky was alive with fire. The humans below could only watch. Soldiers fired rifles uselessly into the air. Leaders shouted orders that meant nothing. The truth was clear to all of them. This was not their fight. It was too big, too far beyond human strength. The only shield they had was the Colossus, and the only mind guiding it was Elias. The first wave came fast. Energy beams rained down like meteors, slamming into the giant's shoulders, arms, and chest. The valley shook, snow turning to boiling steam. Elias raised the Colossus's arm to block, his vision blinding with light. The pain tore through him like knives, but he pushed harder. The giant's hand caught one of the beams, twisting it aside and hurled it back into the sky. A ship exploded, fire scattering across the fleet. The humans below gasped. Some cheered, others fell silent, realizing that a human had just guided, a godlike weapon. But the bond was a blade with two edges. Each strike drained Elias more. His heart pounded like it would burst, his breath sharp and shallow. He felt himself fading, yet he refused to stop. The Colossus's voice spoke inside him, heavy as mountains. Your body is too weak. This path ends in death. Elias's answer came not with strength but with fire in his mind. Then let me burn, just not alone. The giant's eyes blazed brighter. The second wave fell. Alien ships released swarms of smaller drones, black, insect-like machines with wings of fire. They screamed as they dove toward the valley, thousands of them blotting out the stars. The soldiers below panicked. They're coming down, they'll overrun us. But the Colossus moved before fear could spread further. Guided by Elias, it swung its massive arm through the swarm. Dozens of drones shattered in a single blow, falling like sparks into the snow. The ground shook again as the giant stomped forward, crushing more underfoot. Fire burst across the battlefield, painting the ice red. Elias roared within the bond, not with his throat, but with his soul. His voice became the Colossus's, roar echoing across the valley like thunder. The swarm faltered. Even machines seemed to feel fear. But the enemy commander did not stop. From the largest ship a voice boomed, cold and merciless. "Enough! End the human! End the relic!" The great vessel's front opened, revealing a weapon larger than any before. A cannon the size of a mountain glowed with light. The humans below screamed, "They'll kill us all!" Elias felt the heat build in the sky. He knew this was no ordinary strike. This was a planet killer. The Colossus spoke again, low and calm. "This is the end, unless you let go." Elias's thoughts blurred. His chest burned as if fire had entered his lungs. He knew he could not hold on much longer, but when he looked down through the giant's eyes, he saw the humans in the camp. Tiny, fragile, terrified. People who could not fight ships, people who could not fight gods. If he let go, they would all die. Elias clenched his mind. "Then we fight." The Colossus raised both arms. Its body glowed brighter than ever, cracks of white light running across its chest and back. Energy pulsed like rivers of fire, building to an impossible storm. The weapon in the sky fired, a beam brighter than the sun tore down, splitting the clouds, screaming toward the valley. Elias screamed back. The Colossus caught the beam with both hands. The force smashed into it, shattering the ground, shaking mountains miles away. The giant's legs sank into the earth, armor burning, pieces falling away. Inside, Elias felt his body ripping apart. His heart slowed, his vision faded. Blood poured from his nose and mouth. But still, he held. Not one step. The humans below watched in silence. The giant stood under the burning light, arms locked, refusing to fall. Then Elias pushed. The Colossus roared, its voice echoing like the birth of worlds. Energy burst from its chest, rushing into its arms, forcing the beam upward. Slowly, inch by inch, the giant turned the weapon back. The alien cannon shook, cracking under its own power. The beam bent upward, then snapped. The weapon exploded. The flagship broke apart, fire ripping through the sky. The fleet screamed as debris rained down, ships scattering in panic. The humans shouted, half in joy, half in terror. They had just seen one man, one human, turn back the end of the world. But Elias was gone. His body collapsed into the snow, limp, pale, blood covering his lips. His eyes rolled back. The bond still held, but only by a thread. The Colossus's voice whispered, inside him, softer than before, "You give too much. You will not return." Darkness pulled at Elias. He felt the cold edge of death. But still, one thought remained. As long as they live, it's enough. The valley was quiet again, too quiet. The alien fleet had retreated, leaving only wreckage burning in the sky. Black smoke drifted across the ice. The ground was broken, split by deep scars where fire had struck. The humans gathered in silence, staring at the Colossus. The giant stood tall, glowing faintly, steam rising from its cracked armor. Its eyes burned softly, watching. But the humans were not cheering. They were not thankful. They were afraid. At the Colossus's feet, Elias lay pale in the snow, his body weak, blood staining his lips. Soldiers carried him back to camp, shouting for medics. His chest still rose and fell, but each breath was shallow, like a candle in the wind. That night, whispers filled the camp. "He's not human anymore. He controls it." No, it controls him. If he stays bonded, we all die. The leaders met in secret, voices low but urgent. Around a table of maps and broken equipment, their faces were hard. "He saved us," one scientist argued. "Without him, we'd be dead." "He also nearly destroyed himself," a soldier snapped. "The giant feeds on him. That thing will kill him, then use his body as a shell." Another leader leaned forward, voice sharp. "We cannot risk it. If the aliens were afraid enough to stop us, then they know something we don't." We must cut the bond. Now. There was silence. Then, slowly, heads nodded. A plan was made. Elias woke in the med bay, light dim around him. His body ached, every muscle heavy as stone. His chest burned with each breath. But even in his weakness, he felt it. The presence. The Colossus. Its voice whispered inside his mind, soft as a dying fire. You live, but your kind turns against you. Elias frowned, struggling to sit. What do you mean? The Colossus did not answer directly. Instead, it sent him an image. Soldiers moving through the night, weapons ready, eyes grim. They were not hunting aliens. They were coming for him. Fear twisted in Elias's chest. But more than fear was sorrow. He had fought for them, bled for them, almost died for them. And now, they saw him as a danger. His hands shook as he whispered aloud, voice weak, "They want to kill me." The Colossus answered simply, "They fear what they cannot hold. They fear me, and through me, they fear you." Outside the medbay, footsteps echoed, heavy boots, soldiers. Elias closed his eyes, heart racing. He could feel the giant waiting, not in anger, not in hate, waiting for his choice. The door creaked, shadows entered. He heard voices. Quietly, end it fast. Orders are clear, the bond must break. Elias's breath caught. His body was too weak to fight. He could barely stand, but the bond was stronger than flesh. The Colossus's eyes lit in the valley. Its chest glowed. The earth shook. The soldiers froze. One whispered, "It knows." Inside the medbay, Elias felt his pulse merge with the giant's. Strength surged through him, though his body remained broken. His voice echoed in thought, not just his own, but amplified through the Colossus. "I am not your enemy." The soldiers fell back, weapons shaking. But their leader snarled, stepping forward. "You don't understand what you've become. You're not one of us anymore. You're half of that thing, and soon, you won't even be human at all." The words cut deep. Elias wanted to deny them, wanted to believe he was still himself. But deep inside, he felt the truth. The bond was changing him. His heartbeat was no longer only his own. His vision sometimes stretched too far. His thoughts sometimes echoed too loud. He was becoming more than human, or less. The Colossus's voice pressed deeper into his mind. "They will not accept you, but you are mine. Together we stand. Apart, you die." Elias trembled, torn between two worlds. Humanity, fragile, fearful, his people, and the giant, ancient, broken, but bound to him. He whispered, voice cracked but certain, "I won't abandon them, even if they abandon me." The soldiers raised their weapons, but before they could fire, the ground shook. The Colossus moved, one massive hand slamming into the earth between the camp and the medbay. Snow and ice erupted into a wall, blocking their path. The soldiers shouted, scattering in fear. Some fired, but the shots bounced harmlessly off the giant's glowing armor. And then, the alien fleet returned. Dark shapes appeared on the horizon, cutting through the smoke. More ships, larger than before. The sky lit with their engines, shadows falling across the valley. Panic ripped through the humans. Some fled. Some fell to their knees. Elias pushed himself up, pain tearing through his chest. He leaned against the wall, eyes blazing. "They're back." The Colossus's voice thundered inside him. "This battle was only the beginning. More will come, stronger, endless. You cannot face them unless you give me everything." Elias shook, knowing what that meant. The bond had already drained him near to death. Giving more could mean never returning. And yet, without him, without the Colossus, all humanity would fall. The sky was fire. Alien beams rained down like falling suns, tearing the valley apart. The ground shook with every strike, snow turning into steam, ice splitting into rivers of flame. Human camp was chaos. Soldiers screamed, running for cover. Scientists clutched their data pads but dropped them in panic. Leaders shouted orders, but no one listened. And in the center of it all lay Elias, broken, weak, his chest rising with shallow breaths. The Colossus towered above him, its armor cracked and glowing, its massive body shaking under the weight of the new attack. Each beam tore more from its flesh of stone and fire. It would not last much longer. The soldiers turned to Elias, fear burning in their eyes. "You have to stop this," one shouted. "It's your fault it's awake." Another cried, "If you're bonded to it, end it, before it destroys us all." Elias tried to rise, but his legs failed. He collapsed back into the snow, coughing blood. His voice was a whisper. "I am not its master." The Colossus's hand lowered, hovering above him like a shield. The giant's voice filled his mind, heavy as the mountains shaking around them. "You are my bond, you are my strength, but you are breaking." Elias's vision blurred. The pain inside him was unbearable, every nerve burning, every heartbeat, slower than the last, and yet, when he looked up at the giant, he saw not a monster. He saw a friend, a protector, a prisoner who had waited centuries for someone to hear. The alien commander's voice boomed from the sky. "Human! This is your last chance. Break the bond. If you do not, both your kind and ours will die." Elias closed his eyes. Their words pressed against his mind, filled with fear, filled with truth twisted like a blade. But another truth burned stronger inside him. The Colossus was not only destruction, it was not only war, it was a life chained, waiting for someone, brave or foolish enough to stand with it. And now, that someone was him. The giant's voice returned, softer this time, almost pleading. "If you merge fully, there is no return. Your body will fade, your name will end. You will not be human again." Elias whispered through cracked lips, his words trembling but firm. "Then let me be more than human." The bond ignited. Light exploded around him, rising like fire from the snow. His body lifted into the air, pulled into the giant's chest. His flesh burned, but there was no pain, only transformation. His heart thundered, then stretched into something vast. His sight vanished, then returned brighter, reaching beyond the horizon. He was no longer beside the Colossus. He was the Colossus. The humans below gasped. The giant stood taller than before, its armor glowing like molten steel, its cracks filled with pure light. Its roar shook the skies, but in its eyes burned something new, something unmistakably human. Elias's voice thundered from the giant's chest, fused with the Colossus's ancient tone. "I am not your weapon. I am not your curse. I am your shield." The alien fleet fired all at once. Beams rained from every ship, a storm of energy that should have shattered mountains. The Colossus raised its arms. Elias willed the bond into power, and the beams bent away, curving into the sky, splitting harmlessly into space. The humans fell to their knees in awe. The aliens cried out in shock. Then Elias struck. The Colossus leapt into the sky, faster than any human eye could follow. Its fist slammed into the nearest ship, breaking it apart in a flash of fire. It seized another, ripping it in half, hurling the pieces into the swarm. The fleet scattered, firing wildly, but the Colossus moved like a storm, guided by Elias's will. Every strike was precise, every roar filled with fury and purpose. Ship after ship fell, exploding into flames that lit the horizon. The night sky turned into a burning dawn, but the power came at a price. Inside, Elias felt his human body fading. His heartbeat was gone. His breath no longer filled lungs. His skin, his bones, his blood, gone. Only thought remained, only will. The Colossus whispered to him, sorrow heavy in its voice. "You are lost. You gave yourself to me." But Elias answered, his voice calm, steady, eternal, not lost, changed. At last, the alien flagship remained, the largest of them all, its cannon glowing with one final strike. The commander's voice echoed, filled with rage. "You are a fool, human. You have doomed yourself and your kind." Elias's eyes blazed through the Colossus. His voice thundered back, "No, I have saved them." The Colossus unleashed its final attack. Energy burst from its chest, brighter than a star, tearing through the flagship. The ship broke apart in silence, its light swallowed by the sky. The fleet was gone. The battlefield fell silent. The humans stood among the ruins, staring at the glowing giant before them. Fear lingered in their hearts, but so did something else. Hope. The Colossus lowered its head, its glowing eyes softer now. For a long moment it said nothing. Then Elias's voice whispered from within, carried on the wind. "This human saved me. I will save you." The humans bowed their heads, some in awe, some in fear. None dared to speak. The Colossus turned, its massive form fading into the storm. Each step shook the world. But with each step, Elias's voice echoed softer, like a memory becoming legend. He was gone. Yet he remained. No longer human. No longer alone.